about going to law school as a Native person is that we always have our ancestors behind us. We always have our communities behind us. And that if you draw on that for strength, you can make it through. I first wanted to become an attorney when I was 8 years old. I have an uncle that was African American, and he had went into the police department to pay a speeding ticket and was brutally beaten and filed a lawsuit against the police department. And I remember watching on television when him and my auntie came out of the courtroom and they'd won that lawsuit. They'd won a judgment of $75,000 for the pain and suffering that he'd been through. I remember thinking at that time that being a lawyer was a way to right wrongs, and that was something that I wanted to do with my life. As I got older, my dad had me reading books like Custer Died for Your Sins and Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, right about the time I was 10 or 11. And so he really politicized me. So I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, and that also I wanted to work on behalf of Indian people. We always had people that acted as attorneys. We just didn't call them that. We've always had the people that stood up and said, this is the truth, this is the way things should be, or who sought resolutions in conflicts. That's all that being a lawyer is, except that you also have the educational process behind you, and you can go into a court of law and do it. So it isn't that far of a reach for a Native person to be an attorney. Law school's 3 years. The first year has a set curriculum. You take usually 6 main courses. And the first year is sort of like the law school boot camp. You go to class 8 to 4. And as a single person, I just developed a steady habit of setting aside 3 to 4 hours a night to prepare for my classes. In the second and third year, it gets easier. And the other 2 years, you really take whatever you want, any kind of electives. Take federal Indian law or other courses like that, courses to help prep for the bar exams. As far as day-to-day, I would highly recommend joining a Native organization at your law school. That will give you that support and that feeling of belonging within the law school. And to find a faculty member that you really get along well with, and go to them and talk to them about legal career questions, ask them for guidance in your classes. Also, with a faculty member, you're always going to need letters of recommendation and letters of reference for the bar exam. They had an elder Indian woman come in and talk to us. She wanted to encourage us in getting educations. And what she told us was that because we were the descendants of the people that had survived horrific happenings, the Holocaust, boarding school, but we were the most intelligent, we were the smartest people of our generation. And she said to remember that in any academic challenge we face. One thing I always did in all of my classes was ask questions about how does tribal law intersect with this? And oftentimes my non-Indian professors wouldn't really have a response. But I just felt like I always had to bring that up in my classes. And that did lead to a sense of isolation, but I think it's necessary because then it forces the faculty to research that and to get to know about that.
Wambadi, Awangwichake, Australia.
And when I walked across the stage, and I remember feeling so grateful, so thankful to the Creator that I'd made it to that day and after all the hard work I'd put into it. And I felt really thankful for my friends and family and their support and encouragement that they'd given to me to make it to that day. And all the people I'd met on campus, too, that had come to support me. It was a really wonderful feeling. After I take the bar exam, I'll be heading out to Washington, D.C. to work for a private firm which specializes in representing tribes. So I'll be following my dream. I'll be able to represent my people. Our sacred site, such as Secha Hollow, is protected by federal law. Every part of our lives intersects with the law at some point. So constantly our lives are involved with the legal process. This picture I made of a woman praying.
She's praying to the spirit world. And here you can see that the life she's in, the reality that she knows that the physical world, things aren't so good. In the spiritual world, everything is good, and everything comes to help her. So I see a lawyer as somebody that translates between both of those worlds so that we can live in both of those worlds. So I want this to be part of my life in D.C. and be in my office to always remind me that we can always draw upon a spiritual world for help.